4th of July is a different kind of holiday for a rodeo cowboy. Santa Claus wears red, white, and blue. Welcome to Cowboy Christmas.
Oh, this is rodeo. It's showtime.
Welcome to Colorado as the rodeo cowboys invade the Rocky Mountain State for the second stop in the PRCA Pro Rodeo Summer Tour. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff Metters. With me is Butch Knowles. The 4th of July is supposed to be fun, but for a rodeo cowboy, he's out there working, hustling, trying to make as much money as he can.
You're right, it's just crazy. You know, there's about 40 rodeos going on this week at the 4th of July, and these guys, they're going to try to get to as many as they can. There's rodeos in Canada, Arizona, Oregon, Texas, but they all come here to Greeley. Really, you know, the closest they're going to get to a barbecue is if they happen to drive by one and look out the car window.
Master of ceremonies here in Greeley is PRCA stock contractor Benny Butler. When he puts together a short go like this, he brings the heat.
Yeah, tip your hat to Benny Butler. You know, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of good contractors, but they're usually strong in one event. Benny, Bulls, Bronx, Bears, you name it. You make a short go here, you're going to get your chance.
The good news is it looks like Benny's in a good mood today.
That's a good start, but we're just getting started.
It's early. Bareback riding first out of the box, Trey Fisher.
You know, about 3 years ago, I saw Trey in Cody, Wyoming. He was traveling with Rocky Stiegel at that time, and I knew at that time he was going to become a real contender. Right now, number 6 in the world, and Trey, this horse, Little Warrior, you can see right at the end of the ride kind of took off on Trey a little bit, and that's going to cost him a few points.
You can tell that he's finding his own. Finished 25th in the final Jack Daniel World Standings a year ago. He's made the high school and the college finals, and right now he has the lead here in Greeley with a 72, but that probably won't hold up. How about this guy, Chuck Loeb, kind of the Iron Man? Made his first Wrangler National Finals back in 1982, and hey, he's in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, I add that up. That was 21 years ago, but you know, he won the world in 1990, but Chuck's just easing around now, and the rodeo's kind of set up for a guy like Chuck Loeb now. They only count, well, in the rough stock, 75 rodeos to qualify themselves for the Wrangler National Finals. They have the tours now, so you don't have to beat up and down the road, so Chuck can pick his horses, pick the better rodeos, and obviously, he still rides awfully well. This looked good.
That kind of setups also help guys like Clint Corey. We've seen him a lot in the tour stops and the tour finales, and these old Grizzly veterans, they can steal the money.
Well, the bareback riding, you know, it is so physical too, Jeff, that you cannot take it when you get 40 years old, but a few rodeos Chuck can take just perfect.
Also working with us, Jennifer Smith. She has the scoop on commotion.
When you think of Benny Butler, you automatically think of his famous horse, Smokeless Commotion. He was 3-time Bareback Horse of the Year. Last year, Benny debuted him in the saddle bronc riding. He's an all-around riding event horse, but the Bareback riders have missed him an awful lot, so they brought him back into Bareback riding this year. He's out in the very beginning of the rodeo, so watch for Smokeless Commotion.
And here is Darren Clark. He's drawn full throttle, but Clark, another guy, 12th in the world standings right now, and finished 11th, almost in the top 10 a year ago.
Darren is, you know, I like Darren's style. He's a bigger guy, but he still rides like a small guy. He's quick with his feet. He handles all kinds of horses. Number 12 in the world standings right now. And this guy can do it all. He was a rugby player down in Australia, so, you know, much like Scott Johnson, he is no sissy either. This guy's tough.
Yeah, you can tell he's tough. Trying to catch Chuck Loeb, who's in the lead right now with a 77. And the Australian comes up 1 point shy with a 76.
Well, you know, when you compare that horse to the horse Chuck Loeb had, I think that was the difference, Jeff.
Here's a horse that you love to compare him to. Jennifer talked about him, Commotion. He's unbelievable. And Clint Cannon appears to be the next victim.
No, you know, Commotion, he is so intimidating. He walks in the chute, his head's up, he looks you right square in the eye. He is a rank horse in Cannon. You can see the power. What a trip for Commotion, too. You know, in the saddle bronc riding, Benny moved him over there. He was really ranking the bronc riding, but he's put him back in the bareback riding. And you can see Benny's pretty proud of that horse. What a stallion.
Does it hurt when you hit this way? That's gotta hurt.
You know, it's wild. When your hand comes out like that, you don't have any momentum. Sometimes you bounce off the back of the horse. He's lucky he hit on his rump and got rolled over, but, you know, yeah, it doesn't feel good. I'll guarantee what Commotion, he gave it to him. Look at Benny. What a sadistic guy.
It looked like Benny spurred him out. He was right there with him, but no score for Clint Cannon, and right now Chuck Loeb has the lead. There's Pete Hawkins. He's yet to come. Score to beat, 77. OLN's presentation of the Greeley Independent Stampede from Greeley, Colorado. The second stop on the PRCA Pro Rodeo Summer Tour is brought to you by Coors Original, real Rocky Mountain beer. It's Guys Night Out. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Nobody makes whiskey like Jack Daniel's. And by Wrangler, for the cowboy in you. Chuck Logue has the lead, 77. He was the 1990 world champion, trying to make his way back to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Next up, though, Forrest Bramwell scored a beat, 77.
Well, you know, and you look at Chuck Logue, and on the other end of the spectrum, young Forrest Bramwell. He's been to the last two NFRs, great style, and a good matchup right here. Now, Forrest, you know, when you compare this horse to maybe Chuck's horse, this horse is a little easier to make a good ride on, and Forrest, it showed up. Even with his feet, that was perfect.
Sixth in the final Jack Daniel World Standings a year ago, made just about $100,000. So Forrest Bramwell, you got to throw him in there with guys like Will Lowe and Tom McFarland, starting to make some waves in rodeo.
He is, you know, and I just love his style too. You know, watch how even his feet are. They come to the ring and they're both absolutely perfect. He beats the horse to the ground. If you're a judge, you're watching that, and you give him points for that because that shows that he's in total control.
And we have a new leader in Forrest Bramwell. 82 is his score. So the question is, will that 82 hold up? We have two tough bareback riders left. The first out will be Pete Hawkins, Weatherford, Texas, matched up with Dollar. And take a look at his career numbers here. 5 times he's been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, 3 tour finale qualifications, made a little over $633,000 in his career. I think he's got the whole package. He could leave Las Vegas one day as the world champion.
I wouldn't be surprised a bit. You know, Pete Hawkins, I love the way he rides too because he just absolutely goes for broke on every horse. Good control, like I mentioned, just like Forrest Bramwell. This horse came around in a tight circle. You know, Pete picked up 6.5 points in the first round here. And a little different this year on the tour. They can pick up points through the qualifying round. So you have a chance to pick up a lot of points if you can put 2 good horses together. And like Pete Hawkins, great ride right here. I like that.
Well, Pete's got to hustle, 20th in the world standings right now, and I don't know why bareback riders ever bother to buy a new hat. Next up, Royce Ford. That last name should ring a bell. Here's Jennifer.
Well, our Colorado native Royce Ford has quite a supporter here today. His father, Bruce Ford, is 5-time bareback champion of the world and Pro Rodeo Hall of Famer. Now, we saw Royce in the short round at Reno, our first Pro Tour stop. He's winning Greeley. We'll see if the legacy continues.
Bottom line there, Butch, 15th in the world standings right now, and gets pretty good.
He is really good. You know, and I've mentioned before, he's hit a real consistent level on all types of horses. He picked up 21.5 points at Reno. He picked up 8 points. He won the first round here at Greeley. You know, not the best horse. If you're going to pick the horse to maybe get on, you'd rather have Pete Hawkins or Forrest Bramwell. That's going to tell the story here. But, you know, Royce Ford made a perfect ride again on this horse, and that's what tells me he's really hitting a level that, you know, look out. This boy, he may rewrite the record book.
This next wave of bareback riders, it's reminding me of the saddle bronc riders back in the 90s when you had guys like Mortensen and the Etbauers that just battled for world championships. There's a lot of really good young bareback riders out there.
Very good talent. That's right, Jeff. You know, there's a dozen young guys right there that can win on any kind of horse, so it's going to be fun to watch the next decade.
You know, his dad, Bruce Ford, has to be extremely proud of what he's seeing out of Royce Ford, and kid appears to be on track to make his first Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. 79 here. He comes up a little bit short, but he keeps knocking on the door, picking up those tour points. Forrest Bramwell is the winner, 82. Pete Hawkins was second. Then it's Royce. Here's Jennifer.
Lusty Lady's a little younger horse, so you really never know quite what you're going to get, do you?
Well, not exactly. She's been out a few times, and of course I called around and found out about her. And found out I had her. They've been a lot of points on her in the past. I mean, a few times she's been out.
Now, you haven't had quite the best luck here over the force, so Greeley is a warm welcome, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Last year I missed the horse out. I came into this doing really well, and it was kind of a disappointment, so this sure made up for it this year.
Summer Tour standings, and that's quite a leaderboard. Bramwell on top, Royce Ford, Davy Shields awfully good, the veteran in Chuck Logue, Pete Hawkins, so looks pretty interesting at the top. It is pretty early. Jack Daniel World Standings, Tom McFarland has slipped past Will Lowe now into the top spot. Forrest Bramwell having a great year right now, number 4. Next up for us here in Greeley Steer Wrestling, we'll see guys like Rod Lyman and the tough Canadian Lee Graves. Nice shot there of Island Grove Regional Park, home of the Greeley Independence Day Stampede. Really, it's a great arena for rodeo.
You know, Jeff, I'd like to have a picture of the first time I came to Greeley 20 years ago. It just kind of set out here by itself. What they've done here is really tremendous.
First out in steer wrestling, Rod Lyman. There's a look at his numbers. 15 trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, $1.3 million, and he has just knocked on the door. He's been so close to a world championship on several occasions, and I'd love to see him get one.
I think everybody would. Now, I talked to Rod before the rodeo. He said, I have the steer I want. He's a little hard to catch. Sets up out there, and Rod knew it, set the trap, and a nice run, 4 flat.
Number 6 in the Jack Daniels World Standings at the moment, and also a past chairman of the PRCA Board of Directors.
You know, the steers here, they're all very good. These guys are all going to be pretty fast. So Rod knew that he had a steer that kind of set up. He had a chance to be quick, but also it's hard to catch a steer that sets. You have to have your trap set.
4 seconds flat, that could be tough to beat. Next up, Spud Duvall. Of course, the Duvall family synonymous with rodeo, and yes, he lives in Chakota, Oklahoma.
Yeah, in fact, there's a big sign that sets out on the outside of the town of Chakota. It says the steer wrestling capital of the world, and that's literally what it is. And the Duvall boys are the biggest reason for that.
Yeah, Roy Duvall helped put him on the map. Spud's time, 5 seconds flat, so he can't catch Rod Lyman. This field of steer wrestlers, a lot of National Finals rodeo experience in there. Tim Segelke, he's been there. He lives in Snyder, Colorado, so maybe has a little bit of a home arena advantage here.
Well, he went to the Wrangler National Finals back in 1998. Now, just like Rod's steer, that steer set up a little bit on Segelke. He got him caught. A little lower headed, though. It took him just a little more to get him on the ground. 4.2 seconds. Good look at it here as he slides in there. See how that steer brings his head real low? Tim had to kind of muscle him up to get him rolled into the fall. Just a little slower handling steer. Still a nice run.
So 4.2, he's in second at the moment. You see him laughing there with Spud. 4 seconds flat, though, still the time to beat, and the next guy up to definitely take care of business. Lee Graves comes from Canada. He has been so good. 5 trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, Canadian champion on a couple of occasions, and kind of like Rod Lyman, all it's missing from the resume is a PRCA World Championship.
And it still could come for Lee. Now look at this steer. When you compare him to the others, he ran hard, tried a little harder to catch too. He's kind of cow horn. That means his horns they kind of come forward on him, and it's pretty easy to slip an inside horn on a steer like that. Lee did a good job, but luck of the draw just cost him a few seconds.
Now Jacob Burks lives in Durant, Oklahoma, another Oklahoma cowboy. If you're Rod Lyman, you kind of like setting that 4 seconds flat pretty early, putting the pressure on these guys.
Well, that's exactly what he did. Now this steer, you can see he's a little stronger, just kind of struggled around there, and again, you know, all the steers, they try to even the pin of steers up when they bring them into the short go. They bring the steers back that they placed on in the previous rounds, but, you know, I don't care what it is. They're animals, and each one is different.
So Burks walks away 7-1, and now to Sean Greenfield, number 1 in the Jack Daniel World Standings at the moment, 6'4", 230 pounds.
Well, Sean, he won about $17,000 at the Winter Tour finale, and since then he's won about $33,000, and he is on fire. 4 flat. Ties Rod Lyman for the lead, and this guy's just not slowing down a step.
I mean, you've been there in that rodeo season when you get things rolling. It's like the stars all line up and the money just comes one rodeo after another.
You know, it's like gambling or any sport. You get on a roll, your momentum kind of carries you in. All of a sudden, you're showing up. You expect to win when you get to the rodeo. It's a great feeling. Didn't happen to me very often, but I traveled with guys that did.
Rod Lyman shaking Sean's hand there. Last steer wrestler now. Tyler Holzum gets set. Needs 3.9, and he could steal all the money.
Well, Tyler, he was 4-2 in the first round, picked up a few tour points, and this steer, like I say, just a little slower handling steer, 4-5. That's still a nice run, but not going to be good enough to grab Lyman and Greenfield.
Now we'll take a second look at Tyler at work here.
You know, that steer was pretty wide. Tyler had to jump a little ways to get him caught. That part was good, but the steer just handled a little too slow, and what I mean by that, some steers kick it quick and some steers don't.
Gives you an idea of the power it takes to compete in steer wrestling. So we wind up with a tie, Rod Lyman and Sean Greenfield, 2 guys that are currently in the top 6 of the Jack Daniel World Standings, 2 guys that could be a factor at the upcoming Wrangler NFR.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, like you said, Jeff, everybody's pulling for the line.
We'll see if Rod can get the job done. Of course, the summer tour finale next on his to-do list. Here are the final results. Lyman and Greenfield, 4 seconds flat. Segelke in there, 4.2. Then it's Tyler and Spud Duvall. Current summer tour standings at the moment, Randy Soon, who did so well in Reno in the league, 35 points. Cash Myers in there, This will change as we get on into the summer, but guys like Sean Greenfield, you expect them to stay around. Next up on the list, saddle bronc riding. We'll return to Greeley in just a moment. Welcome back to Greeley, Colorado. Jeff Metters along with Butch Knowles and Jennifer Smith, and we're ready now for the classic event in rodeo, saddle bronc riding. And when Benny Butler's involved, you kind of wonder what kind of surprises he'll have for these guys. Kicking it off, Wes Bailey, who lives in Kansas. Moneybags is the bronc.
Well, this is a nice horse to start off with, Jeff. This horse they win a lot of money on. Wes Bailey, good bronc rider. Kind of a big empty jump over there at the fence. Wes handled that really well. And a bronc riding now, when they kind of jump and don't kick, it has a tendency to make you hang your feet in the cantle, and it takes an effort not to do that. Wes did a very good job making a good ride.
Has a little effect on your score. 78 the score for Bailey. And we move now to Brett Franks, Goodwill, Oklahoma, former coach at Panhandle State University. He's been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, and when you hang out up there in that kind of country, Craig Latham, the Bowers, you got to be a pretty good bronc rider.
Yeah, you're a bronc rider, and Brett is a good bronc rider. He's got his hands full right now. Rodeo Drive, this horse has a lot of different trips. This is not the one you want because it's a spinner, hard to ride, get you on the ground type deal. I think Brett's not very happy with that deal.
And the score for Brett Franks, 70.
Shoot. I thought he'd be one of the best horses.
A reaction there from Benny Butler. Got to hate those broncs that go out there and try to be a bull.
Oh, it's tough on these stock contractors. They want these guys to have a chance to win, and Benny sure won them.
Benny helping him there. Adam Newman next. He made it to the national finals back in 2001. 28th in the world last year.
Oh, good matchup here. Now, Rod Hay won around at the MGM earlier at the Winter Tour finale on this horse. Nice horse to get on if you're a bronc rider. You just got to do your job. Make sure you mark them out good. Don't make any mistakes. Adam handled it perfect.
Yeah, so if Benny was disappointed with Rodeo Drive, he's got to be pretty happy there with Golden Leaf Snuff.
Well, you know, I'll tell you who's happy with Golden Leaf Snuff. That's Adam Newman, just drawing this horse. Look at here, good timing. Watch how he just positions his feet every jump before the horse hits. Nice style. And if you're a judge, you like that, and they certainly did.
Well, he did 84, so Adam Newman is the new leader. But don't count your money when you got guys like Scott Johnson just behind you. Now, Scott's a little beat up, has a broken rib. Not that he would notice, but here he's drawn snuff enough.
Well, Scott Johnston, you know, 6 trips to the Wrangler National Finals. He's won the average there 2 times. He won second in the average last year. You don't have a resume like that by making mistakes, and he very rarely makes a mistake in the saddle bronc riding.
Interesting, when he moved from Australia to the United States, he brought his family over. They lived in a car for a while, traveling from rodeo to rodeo. Here in the next couple of weeks, he'll go over the $1 million mark in career earnings, so you don't have to live in your car when you're making that kind of money. But you can tell, I mean, he's got some injury problems, sustained at the Pace Pecani Pro Rodeo Tour finale, and it's hampering him a little bit.
You know, and have you ever noticed when you have a sore spot, you always bump it? Now, Scott Johnston makes a good ride right here, but getting up on the pickup and he hangs over that rib and bounces along, I'm not kidding you, that hurts.
So he jogs off. Johnson, one of those guys that can definitely play with pain. 76, though, not good enough to catch Adam Newman. J.L. Shafter now, he can play secret agent.
You know, this horse, I was really impressed with this horse last year here. Big, strong bay, J.L. Here's a guy that kind of hangs around the Northwest, and he can really ride broncs. Good ride going here, but you can see right at the fence, he kind of hangs up in that cantle. That might cost him a few points before it's done.
Oregon Cowboy, and trying to pick up a check down here in Greeley, Colorado. And what's up with the mask? You see it in bull riding, but not too much in bronc riding.
Well, JL had an injury to his face a few years ago, so this is just preventative. You know what, I watched, this is how good he rides. Probably one of the best rides I've seen on Spring Fling, one of the few rides I've seen in the saddle bronc riding. JL in Hefner, Oregon a few years ago. He's for real. I hope he gets down the road and just sees what he can do, because he does ride broncs good.
78 comes up a little bit short here. Adam Newman still the leader, and now to the #1 cowboy in the world, Rod Hay, matched up with Foxtrot, and his statistics are pretty impressive. Rod Hay has been to the National Finals Rodeo 13 times, so a regular at the Wrangler NFR. Career earnings $1.3 million. #1 in the world, this could be his year.
Well, you know, we used to say the same thing about Tom Reeves, and he finally got the job done and won his first world title. Roddy Hay's going to do it too. He's just a matter of time. 7 times he's been the Canadian champion, and good ride going right here. He'd like to get a championship out of Greeley, Colorado. He takes care of business. You got to remember, these guys, they have been on the road now for about 4 straight days, either flying, driving. It doesn't matter how they've been getting to these rodeos. They're wore out.
You know, Roddy's been around a while, and he's still pretty young. He was the Saddle Bronc Riding Rookie of the Year back in 1989, and consistent all through the 1990s, and he's still just kind of in his mid-30s.
Yeah, you know, it's incredible. 13 trips, like you said, Jeff, to the Wrangler National Finals. He's just a machine when it comes to riding saddle broncs. 82 points for Roddy Hay. He'll take her.
Doesn't catch Adam Newman, still in the lead with an 84. Now to Cody Wright. Before he rides, though, here's Jennifer.
It's so good to see Cody Wright back here in the finals in Greeley. Last year, he had a great chance as a rookie to make the national finals. He made the summer tour finale, but just a month before at Albuquerque, we saw him severely break his leg. He tried to ride there, just couldn't cut it, barely missed the national finals. This year, he says it's still a little sore, but he feels completely healthy.
We haven't talked about it much, but really when you're in a chute, it's about as dangerous as it gets.
You know it is, because everything around you is metal, and these animals, they're big, they're strong. If something goes wrong, you can definitely get injured. You know, that injury probably cost Cody going on to the Wrangler National Finals, so I'm glad to see him back. Now, the horse he has, they won this rodeo a year ago, but you saw he turned out of the chute backwards. That kind of fouls everything up. It fouls you up as far as your timing, getting in rhythm, fouls the horse up because he doesn't get that same chance to buck, and I think that cost Cody a few points.
You know, and he's got 3 growing boys, so he needs the money. 16th in the final Jack Daniel World Standings a year ago. That is the hot seat. Missing the National Finals Rodeo by just barely. Final results, Adam Newman in the top spot with an 84, then it's Hay in a 3-way tie for 3rd place. That's off to Adam Newman. Let's go to Jennifer Smith.
Everyone said Golden Leaf was one of the horses to have today.
Yeah, that horse has been outstanding for the last couple of years. They won a lot on him. They won, Roddy Hay won around on him at the Cup like 3 weeks ago or something, and geez, I was happy to come back here and have him.
Is that a Texas accent?
It doesn't sound like it to me.
Summer Tour standings, Cody Wright on top, 51.5 points, but watch out for guys like Scott Johnston, Rod Hay, and the reigning world champion Glenn O'Neill. Jack Daniel World Standings, that's quite a top 5. You gotta love that top 4. Rod Hay, O'Neill, Jesse Bale, Dan Mortensen. That is a who's who.
That's a battle going on, isn't it?
It will get more and more interesting as we get closer to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Next up in tie-down roping, we'll see guys like Brent Lewis and Blair Burke.
Welcome back to Greeley, Colorado. Jeff Meadows along with Rich Knowles. An all-star lineup in tie-down roping featuring our reigning all-around champion of the world, Trevor Brazil.
Oh, he's awesome. You know, he's just coming off a big win in Reno, Nevada. He was the all-around cowboy there, our first tour stop, and here he is in Greeley on the 2nd stop, and he is in the lead going into today.
We think coming to Colorado in the summertime it'd be a little bit cool, but it's a pretty hot day in Greeley today, and that's what these tie-down ropers will deal with. Scott Cormos first out, Texas cowboy, and he will headline a list here that gets better and better.
Boy, he's got some guys behind him, but Scott, you know, you don't come back in a short go to a rodeo like Greeley, Colorado and not have ability. Scott gets to his calf quick, kind of drops that front leg, so now he needs to make it up. One quick tie with a half hitch, but that calf is not tied very well. You see Scott hustle back to his horse. That's to allow those 6 seconds to start quickly because he knows if that calf sneezes, he's going to get up.
That can be a really long 6 seconds, but for Cormos here,
it worked.
He gets away with it, 9.9. Now to Brent Lewis, and this starts a pretty big 1-2-3 punch here in this short go.
Well, Brent's got a pretty good calf. They were 9-1 and 9-8 on this calf, so Brent, we'll see what he can get done. One of the best cowboys in the business, I mean literally cowboy, and he's got a good run started. Excellent run by Lewis.
He's made it to the last 2 summer tour finales. 10 times he's gone to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, and this guy is just good.
Now watch when he ropes this calf. He'll hold his rope. That just sends him down that rope quicker. See how that sends him right to the calf? All that momentum gets to the calf quickly, and then everything is smooth on the ground. He'll take one wrap with a half hitch himself, but you can see his half hitch is deep on the leg, so it's a little more secure than Scott Cormos' calf, but not much.
Brent Lewis moves to the lead, his time 9.2. And there is Blair Burke as he gets set, lives in Durant, Oklahoma. 8 times he's made it to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, $1.2 million in career earnings. Kind of part of that big three: Cody Ohl, Fred Whitfield, Blair Burke, guys that, you know, just finished at the top of the Jack Daniel World Standings every year.
Well, I talked to Blair before the rodeo. He wasn't very happy with his calf, and I can see why. That calf took a hard duck to the left. I don't know how he got him caught. He is going to make a great run on not a very good bovine. 9.3 seconds. Boy, oh boy, what a run.
That is about a bizarre turn from a calf as I've ever seen. Just a hard left right out of the gate, and Blair's finally smiling about it, and what a mean loop he puts on him here.
Boy, that's a rancher loop there. Now, anytime a calf goes left, they kind of hide themselves behind your horse's head. He was totally hit behind his horse's head. He just kind of reached on the other side and roped him. Pretty handy run right there by Blair Burke.
Could have been a disaster. It's a 9 and 3s in second place. Mike Johnson comes in now. 16 times he's been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, $1 Million Cowboy.
You know, Mike Johnson, his first NFR, he was 19 years old. He's got a pretty good calf, a little bobble on that tie. That's one of the few mistakes you'll ever see Mike Johnson make. In fact, he's one of the quickest guys on the ground that I've seen. Johnson gets on his horse right now, 15th in the world standings, so this is an important run and an important tour for Mike Johnson.
Tim Farr now just kind of in the wake of the Giants. We've seen Lewis, Burke, Johnson, and now a cowboy from Georgia.
Boy, good calf. Tim knows it too. They were 8-7 on this calf in one of the earlier rounds, so Tim needs to just go gather him up and make a good run. Now this calf's running pretty hard. He's down the arena. He'll see if he can make it up on the ground. Oh, bobbles that tie and still finishes quick. 9 flat, and even a mistake or two in that run. Super effort.
As far as he chased that calf, that's an unbelievable time.
You know, and it's a good thing he roped the calf where he did. I think the calf was going to get away from him. That calf kind of stopped and waited for him out there. Looked like he was going to run pretty hard, then he kind of slowed down, and Tim just rode right up in the middle of him. Reaches out there. But right here you'll see one bobble right there. That's probably a 1/10, maybe 2/10 of a second when it's all done, but it still works for Farr.
Kept him from being in the 8s. 9 seconds flat though, new leader. And the last guy to go is the reigning all-around world champion, Trevor Brazil. He's so good. Let's go to Jennifer.
Butch, you mentioned earlier how Trevor won the all-around in Reno. He's really setting the pace this summer for another all-around championship. At Pecos over the 4th, he's winning the steer roping. He was placing in the team roping. St. Paul, he's winning 3rd in the team roping, and he's coming back here in 1st in the tie-down roping. What a summer.
He's so versatile in so many events, and the only guy that can really put some heat on him is Jesse Bale. And Jesse riding Bronx very well right now in the top 5. He's just got to get his bull riding up to that same standard.
Yeah, it's going to be a long year, but you know, when you look at Trevor's standings right now, he's #1 in the world in the steer roping, 4th in the calf roping, 8th in the team roping, 1st in the all-around, and he just made a good run right there. Now, he came in the lead, so Trevor kind of played it safe on the barrier. They were 8-5 on this calf earlier, but I don't think he was worried about trying to win the round. He was just worried about playing it safe at the barrier. Make sure he gets things set up good. He said he's riding a young horse, so he wants to help that horse get things done here also. He's just an amazing athlete with a rope.
And you never see him ride an ugly horse. Got great taste in his horses, and obviously one of the most talented guys in PRCA history when it comes to the rope. 9 and 4 though, so oddly enough, it's young Tim Farr who's kind of had to settle in there behind guys like Lewis and Burke and Johnson and Brazil. Beats them all. 9 seconds flat. Lewis settles for 2nd. Once again, let's go to Jennifer.
We haven't seen Tim very much. We didn't see him at all on the winter tour, and it actually caused you to have to go home this spring?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't rope very good, and the times I didn't draw very good, and I didn't win anything in the winter, so kind of left me bust for money. And with the 50 rodeos, we figured we'd be better suited to try them in the summer.
And what a boost Greeley really is. A win like this could catapult you into an unbelievable summer.
Absolutely. This is one of the best stops. This Greeley, you just don't miss Greeley.
Well, we'll see if he can build some momentum out of this. Right now in the summer tour standings, Trevor Brazil, #1, 42.5 points. We talked about him being on a roll in several events, actually. Jack Daniel World Standings, the battle goes on between Cody Ohl and Fred Whitfield, and these guys will keep trading punches until we get to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Now it's time for our Coors Original Extreme Ride, and we back up to the saddle bronc riding, where Adam Newman had a pretty good goal with Golden Leaf Snuff.
You know, Adam did. You know, there's a lot of pressure. When you draw a horse that you know you can win first on, mentally, it's hard because you can't make any mistakes. Everything worked out for Adam Newman. Great ride.
In our team roping, we'll see the reigning world champions, Speed and Rich. Welcome back to Greeley, Colorado. The 4th of July is a happening here. Parades, concerts, fireworks. And I'm still thinking about those funnel cakes. So if I disappear,
They look pretty good, didn't
yeah,
they?
they did. But it's the short go on the second stop on the PRCA Pro Rodeo Summer Tour. Ready now for the team roping. This should be a pretty good short go. Jeff White and Jet Johnson kick things off.
Well, the arena here is big, so everything's going to happen down there a ways. In other words, the head start, they allow them to get out there and make things work, and it happens right there very quickly, 6-8. That's a great way to start it off.
A solid way to start. We've seen so many times if you can come out and put some pressure on the rest of the pack early, sometimes they have some problems handling that, makes them take some chances. We'll see how Kevin Stewart and Martin Lucero react to that 6-8.
Well, Kevin Stewart 9 times he's been to the Wrangler National Finals. Martin's been there 8 times, so these guys can handle pressure, and they handle it right here. Excellent run, 6-5.
New leader, 6-5 for Stewart and Lucero. So the times keep getting just a little bit quicker. Now to Brady Wren and Zane Bruce.
Boy, good look at it right there. You see that corset the header's wearing right there? He's probably got a back injury. Kind of just helps support him. Nice look at the heels and hops it out of there. And boy, they made that look so easy. 6 flat, now they take the lead.
So it just keeps getting quicker and quicker, and we'll see how the reigning world champions handle it now. Speed Williams and Rich Skelton. These guys have won 6 straight PRCA World Championships. Speed's numbers, he's only been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo 8 times. 6 times he's left there as the world champion. $1 Million Man, $1.2 million. And I think there was a time when you felt like nobody would be like Jake and Clay, Jake Barnes and Clay O'Brien Cooper, and along comes Speed and Rich.
Boy, I'll say, Jeff, you know, in the steer they had, I talked to Speed before the rodeo. He wasn't very happy with the steer. He said he runs hard. We'll see what we can do. 5.4. You know, they just are amazing. And Speed's always riding really good heading horses, and it shows up when you get to big rodeos like this.
Lucky they didn't like the steer. Charles Pogue and Corey Petska now.
Boy, talk about good heading horses. I think Charles Pogue might be riding one of the best horses I've seen for a while. Look at how quick he faces, turns back, backs out of it. That's how you can be quick. 5.7. Well, they're a few tenths behind Speed and Rich, but that was an excellent run.
Second straight team to break that 6-second barrier, so they sit in second place at the moment with just one team remaining. We talked about the great Clay O'Brien Cooper. There he is on the heeling side. Also a multiple world champion, childhood actor. He was in the movie The Cowboys with John Wayne, but today he just is a cowboy.
Boy, and he's a nice heeler. Good job hazing that steer, too. That steer was kind of drifting right. He just hazed him back to David Key and allowed him to set the run up. 7.1. Nice run, but it's a couple seconds off the pace.
So let's take a look at the round results here in Reno. It's Speed Williams and Rich Skelton, the reigning world champions, 5-4. These guys just got through finishing second at the Pace-Pac County Pro Rodeo Tour finale back in Las Vegas. Our summer tour standings at the moment, Trevor Brazil on top, 29.5. Then Speed Williams, Matt Tyler. All these guys having a pretty good summer so far. On the heeling side, Wayne Fulmer on top. Wayne, by the way, just won the Pace-Pac County Pro Rodeo Tour finale in Las Vegas on the heeling side of things. Red Buckus in third place. Jack Daniel world standing, Speed on top, 42.5. You hate to see these guys get on a roll.
Yeah, you do, but you know, things are tight right there. It's going to be a race for a while. We'll see what Speed and Rich can get done, though. There's a lot of rodeo season left.
When they find the groove, they tend to put a lot of people in their rear view mirror. And now we make the transition to barrel racing. Should be a good short go. We're going to see past world champions like Charmaine James and Christy Peterson. First out, though, Lonnie Soderberg.
You know, Jeff, it's going to be fun to watch the barrel racing. Here at Greeley, it's a big arena. Now, in a small arena, the barrels are set up a little closer to the fence. Sometimes that'll help certain horses turn the barrels. Here, though, you have to rely on a horse that runs a good pattern, has a lot of wind to get out of the arena quick. Lonnie, she placed in the second go-around here, picked up 4 tour points, and she'd like to add to that. Nice run, 17.72.
Pretty quick start there. There's Charmaine James. What a career Charmaine has had, closing in on $2 million now in her career. 19 trips to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo, 11 World Championships. This hasn't been her year, though. Here's Jennifer.
After winning the world again in 2002, Charmaine hasn't had such a great start to 2003. Her #1 horse, Cruiser, had to have ligament repair surgery in April. He's not quite back up to 100% yet. Charmaine's in a spot that she's not used to. She's winning 20th in the world. Hopefully today at Greeley will be the boost that she needs.
Well, she was noticeably absent from the Pace Pecani Pro Rodeo Tour finale a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. We would love to see her in Omaha.
Yes, we would. She could get there. You can see that Cruiser kind of hung up a little bit coming out of that first barrel, though. And, you know, things are timed in hundredths of a second. That's going to cost you a little bit of time. And again, in and out of that third barrel. Now, you can see the third barrel is starting to get in the shade of the arena. That's going to make it a little tougher for horses to pick it up also. 1786, about a tenth off.
And just like any other athlete, when your horse is coming back off an injury, you got to kind of get him back in the groove. Here's a horse that I think just stays in the groove. Bozo and multiple world champion Christy Peterson.
I love this little horse. You know, and Christy and Bozo, she said when Bozo's done, she's done, but I think she's still got a lot of money to win on Bozo.
Yeah, amazingly, she's only been to 10 rodeos this year. She's still in the top 15.
Well, when you have a horse like Bozo, Jeff, you know, she probably places out of 20 rodeos, I bet she'll place at 18 of them, maybe 19. You know, what an incredible little horse.
She could easily make it back to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Bozo's got the gas. She says she just doesn't want to go. Now to Jennifer Wilson, lives in Mississippi. Pretty tough. 1770 the time to beat, just put up by Christy Peterson.
You know, Jennifer, though, this horse has ran really well here already in the first two qualifying rounds. She won 5th in the first go, 3rd in the second go. She's picked up 14 tour points, and she would like to get some more today, 12 to be exact. As she gets in and out of that third barrel, things look awfully good. Oh, 1776.
We talked about how big this arena is, and that camera angle, both right those last two shots, you could see how far that horse has to run from barrel to barrel and then home. Now to Tana Papineau, lives in Big Cabin, Oklahoma. Last barrel racer out, has to beat a 1770.
You know, and all the girls have a little different strategy. Here, the gate is open. In other words, they can run from way down an alley and come in the arena, but some of the girls are kind of walking their horse up into the arena to give them a little more gas, I think, at the end of the run. They don't use all the air up early, and we'll see if it works for Tana. Smooth run, 1774. She'll take it.
We talked about the heat today. You want to kind of give them as much of a break as you can. Christy Peterson and Bozo, 1770. Bozo has still got it. Lonnie Soderberg finishes in second place. Then it's Papineau and Wilson. Summer Tour standings right now. Kelly Kaminsky on top, 70.7. She's also near the top of the Jack Daniel World standings. But Christy Peterson pretty comfortable there, number 3. We talked about those Jack Daniel World standings. You can see there Kaminsky now has passed Melanie Southern. Janet Stover's in third place. And it's Kay Blanford and Cappy Allen. And we talked to Christy Peterson about the road to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo.
I had a goal set to go to the NFR, but I thought setting that goal was too far, and I wouldn't want to be that disappointed. So I never set that goal, but just as go-rounds went on and people kept talking to me, I couldn't quite block it out, so it got a little stressful, but not bad. 10 days is just something else. It's just a whole nother ball game, which was perfectly suited for us because he gets stronger all the time. He's real consistent. Charmaine really helped me. You know, you always go to the people who know, and she said, you just make your run every time. Don't try to beat anybody, and that helps a bunch. You just do your best.
And we'd love to see you at the 45th Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. For ticket information, go to ProRodeo.com. Still some unfinished business here in Greeley. Bull riding when we come back. OLN's presentation of the Greeley Independent Stampede from Greeley, Colorado. Second stop on the PRCA Pro Rodeo Summer Tour is brought to you by Justin Boots, standard of the West since 1879. By Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a proud sponsor of the PRCA. By Kawasaki All-Terrain and Utility Vehicles. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. And by Pace, grab the Southwest by the bottle. Great shot there of Lloyd Ketchum, former world champion bullfighter, and first out in bull riding will be Tyler Fowler, lives in Alabama. Moonshine is the bull. And what should we expect from this pen of bulls?
Well, Benny Butler is known for having a good pen of bulls. He raises most of these bulls, and Tyler Fowler, though, anytime you match him up with a good bull, it could be good, and he gets, oh man, rolled into his hand. That bull switched directions. That's too bad.
Yeah, you can see the crease in the hat. I mean, he was sitting there in a great spot, but man, did he get off in trouble.
Well, you know, Tyler He's making a very good ride right here, but it looked like his riding hand might have been down the side of that bull just a little bit. When that happens, if they go back the other way, they'll get you down in there. And how close was that to stepping on Tyler Fowler? That is just scary to watch.
Boy, and those can be absolutely lethal. And lucky here, the hat's the only casualty. Now to Robbie Condra, Dayton, Texas. Two-time qualifier for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Red tops the bull.
Well, Robbie's been to 2 Wrangler National Finals rodeos. You don't get there by falling off bulls, but you can see this one got him down in there this afternoon. Faded away from his hand. That's not a good combination if you're a bull rider, and that's costly for Robbie Condra.
He's been working hard. The PRCA Extreme Bull Series, hitting a lot of rodeos, #2 in the world.
Well, you can see that bull, when he dropped him down in that well a little bit, Robbie made a move to get up out of there. And when he did, he got clear up to the outside, and no score for Condra.
Yeah, scored 2 for Benny Butler, none for the bull riders. For more on Johnny Chavez, here's Jennifer.
We saw Johnny Chavez break several vertebrae in his back at the National Finals in 2002. He's just now getting back into action. He says he's feeling better than ever before. He entered in Extreme Bulls earlier this month, but Greeley is his first Pro Tour rodeo.
He's lost about 20 pounds. He's been working out on the ranch. You know, he's in great shape. He looks good. You know, he's ready to get back to bull riding.
Well, you know, Jeff, he just hit 40 years old, so if you're going to try to ride bulls and be this age, you've got to stay in great shape. Now, Cowtown, you can see him trying to get him down to the inside of that spin the whole way, and Johnny knew it. He could not get back up out of that well. That's too bad.
Now, he was hustling, trying to get back in the middle, and never got there.
You can see right there, his free arm kind of dropped on him a little bit. That'll drop you down in there, and his rope may have pulled over that bull's back even by the looks of it right here. And once you're there, you cannot get back up out of that well. That's too bad for Chavez.
That's a spot you don't want to be in, but Johnny walks away with no score here. So Benny Butler's getting the best of these guys. He's 3-0 as we move to Jerry Shepard. Wingspan is the bull.
Well, right now, any ride will take the lead. And we're pulling right here for Jerry Shepard. Good start right here, but you can see trouble. You know, you can see about a jump before he hit the ground that he kind of rolled himself into his hand. Things look pretty good right here, but right here you can see him kind of get lifted up off this bull into his hand. His hips get rolled out of there. One little mistake. When you're getting on ranked bulls, you make one little bobble and it is so hard to recover.
So Shepard, like the 3 Cowboys before him, he winds up with no score. So we got to get somebody getting some momentum going. Maybe it's Bo Hill. Made his first Wrangler National Finals rodeo last year. In fact, he finished 7th in the final Jack Daniel World Standings.
Yeah, he won about 110,000. Now, Bo Hill is a big bull rider. In other words, he's probably 6'2", and this little bull, oh man, it's close. Dropped him in there. He's looking to the judges, and he is not going to get a score. Now, Bo, like I said, is a big, tall kid. This bull is not very big. So what happens is you cannot get a hold with your feet. Bo's drifting along there. Things are looking pretty good, but he finally just rolled him down in there. That's too bad. Right at the whistle. Oh, man.
Well, he's trying to persuade the judges there, but it's a battle that he's going to lose, and he comes away with no score. Next up, Fred Betcher comes from Wisconsin, not really known for producing bull riders. B.J. Schumacher actually from up there as well. Here's what Fred's done in his short career, 3 times to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Would love to get there a 4th time, matched up here with Airliner.
Well, Airliner, a big high looper, and Fred is not very happy about that. You know, a big bull like this, a lot of rear, you can see right here. Fred starts a good ride, but this bull, when they rear like that and then come around, you can see him get rolled into his hand, and that's a tough position to be in because that bull just keeps fading away from him. That's disgust right there.
I like that bull, lots of snot.
Fred does not like that bull.
He gets rid of Fred Betcher, so still looking for that first qualified ride down to our last bull rider. It's the big guy from Australia, Greg Potter.
Yeah, Greg's been to the Wrangler National Finals on 2 occasions. He can get the job done. We'll see what he can do. All he has to do is get to the whistle to win this event, and he gets rolled out of there. Tough little bull to ride, kind of hopped and skipped, kept trying to roll Greg into his hand, and finally got it done over there in front of the chute.
Greg Potter's kind of like Bo Hill. I mean, really tall for a bull rider.
Yeah, and this is a smaller bull. And when I talk about hop and skip, you can see this bull kind of walk on his front feet. That's difficult because you don't get that even timing.
So Greg Potter fails to make a qualified ride, and he joins the long list of Cowboys here in the short go, and that's going to make Benny Butler smile.
Yeah, tip your hat to Benny Butler. He got them all on the ground here at Greeley.
So they go by the average, how they did coming into this short go. Greg Potter gets the win. Summer Tour standings, Fred Betcher on top, 30.5 points. Josh O'Byrne in there. Terry Don West, number 1 in the world right now, number 6 in the Summer Tour standings. Here are the Jack Daniel World standings. Terry Don West already setting a new single season earnings record, $109,000, and we're just getting into that summer run. Next stop on our summer tour, we drift out to the Pacific Northwest, St. Paul, Oregon. Join us on Sunday, August 31st, 7 p.m., right here on Outdoor Life Network. For Butch Knowles and Jennifer Smith, I'm Jeff Metters. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in St. Paul.